Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Expat Live.
What is it that once again allowed Donald Trump to stand before the world with absolute confidence? Why did the name F-47 instantly become the focal point of military analysts, political circles, and the entire aerospace defense industry? And more importantly, behind Boeing's decisive victory in this historic defense contract, what remains hidden that the public has not yet fully understood? The story begins at the White House on March 21st, 2025. During a press briefing that day, President Donald Trump announced that Boeing had defeated its competitors to secure the contract to build the United States Air Force's sixth-generation fighter aircraft. This was not a routine procurement, and F-47 was not introduced as merely the next aircraft in an incremental upgrade cycle. According to Trump, this platform had been developed in secrecy for years, with early test flights taking place nearly half a decade ago. While Trump's rhetoric has often been controversial, this time he was not speaking without substance. F-47 is directly tied to the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, or NGAD, a strategic vision first outlined by the U.S. Air Force in 2014. NGAD was never intended to produce just another fighter jet. Its objective was far more ambitious: to redefine how the United States achieves and sustains air superiority in the 21st century. While public attention gravitated toward the political symbolism and the enigmatic designation F-47, within military circles, the most striking detail was the extraordinary speed of the program's development. In roughly 6 years, from conceptual design to a flying prototype, NGAD advanced at a pace that previous generations required decades to achieve. To understand the magnitude of that shift, consider the past. The F-22 Raptor took more than a decade to develop. The F-35 required nearly 20 years of testing, refinement, and controversy. By contrast, F-47 emerged quietly, rapidly, and under strict control. This is not simply a reflection of technological progress. It signals a deeper transformation in how the United States designs, tests, and fields strategic air power. So what exactly is F-47? A sixth-generation fighter aircraft, or the first visible manifestation of an entirely new air power doctrine? To answer that question, we must return to the origin of NGAD, examine why Boeing was selected, and understand what F-47 truly represents for the future of American air dominance. That is the journey we begin in this very first episode. To understand what F-47 truly represents, we must step away from headlines, political speeches, and contract announcements. Because F-47 is not an isolated project. It is the visible outcome of a transformation that began more than a decade ago. In 2014, the United States Air Force and Navy quietly began preparing for a future where traditional air superiority could no longer be taken for granted. Advanced air defense systems were spreading. Long-range missiles were becoming more precise. Anti-access and area denial zones were expanding rapidly. The era in which a single dominant fighter could freely operate over contested airspace was coming to an end. It was within this context that the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, or NGAD, was conceived. At its core, NGAD was never about building one aircraft to replace another. It was about redesigning the entire logic of air combat. Early research was initiated by DARPA, tasked with answering a difficult question. How do you maintain air superiority in the 2030s and beyond against near-peer adversaries with layered defenses, advanced sensors, and electronic warfare capabilities? The answer DARPA delivered was unconventional. Instead of a single platform, NGAD would be a system of systems. A crewed aircraft would serve as a command node. Uncrewed aircraft would operate alongside it. Sensors, weapons, and decision-making would be distributed rather than centralized. In 2016, this vision matured into the Air Superiority 2030 concept. The emphasis shifted toward deep penetration, long-range engagement, and survivability in highly contested environments. 2 years later, in 2018, that framework evolved again,
becoming the NGAD program we recognize today. Then came the moment that shocked the defense world. In September of 2020, Will Roper, then Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition and Technology, publicly revealed that a full-scale NGAD demonstrator had already been designed, built, and flown in secret. No public rollout, no extended prototype competition, no decade-long delay. In just 6 years, the program had moved from concept to flight. This was unprecedented. For comparison, the F-22 required nearly 10 years before selection, and many more before operational readiness. The F-35 took almost 2 decades to mature. NGAD shattered that timeline. And that speed was not accidental. It reflected a fundamental change in how the U.S. military approaches development.
Digital engineering, rapid prototyping, and modular design replaced the slow, linear processes of the past. F-47 is the first aircraft to emerge from that new ecosystem. It is not merely a 6th-generation fighter. It is proof that the rules of military aviation development have been rewritten. But this raises a critical question. If NGAD represents the future of air dominance, why was Boeing chosen over Lockheed Martin, the company behind both the F-22 and F-35? That answer lies not only in engineering, but in strategy, industrial balance, and the future structure of the American defense industry. And that is exactly where the next part of this story leads.
This was not merely a technical decision. It reflects industrial balance, competitive pressure, and how the Pentagon assesses long-term strategic risk. F-47 is therefore more than a new aircraft. It is a signal that the U.S. Air Force is diversifying risk, reshaping its industrial base, and preparing for an era where air dominance can no longer be assumed. In Episode 2, we will examine this decision in depth. Why did Boeing defeat Lockheed Martin? What technological, political, and strategic calculations lie behind that choice? F-47 does not simply open a new chapter. It forces a reassessment of how air power itself will be built and sustained. If you find these analyses valuable and useful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episodes of F-47 Live. I'm Hai. Thank you sincerely for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'll see you in Episode 2. Thank you and goodbye.